Okay, guys, welcome back. Here's the part where I lose every viewer and every patron. Okay, let me explain something to you. You know, I grew up Roman Catholic, right? And you know I'm gay, and I'm pansexual, and I'm gender fluid, and you know I'm pagan. Alright? None of that's gonna change. That is essentially who I am. And for the longest time, the boogeyman god of the church was scaring me. And what Loki and Odin were trying to say is that the boogeyman god isn't real. They never said the god of the church wasn't real. Now, hear me out on this. We're not talking heaven, hell, everything. So, remember, I kept getting pissed off over the last couple of years that God kept showing up everywhere. I'm like, well, I live in a Christian society. Good for God. I couldn't get hit by lightning. But then I kept saying all this stuff everywhere, like all these signs, especially every time I would be having a problem. Remember, every time I'd have a problem, God would show up. And I'm like, he's just trying to sneak in. And then I remembered, like, something about, knocking at the door. And you can take this for what it's worth, but it was like I was talking to Jesus. You can shut up, all you haters. And he was like, come in here, put some meditation music on. You and I need to talk. And I told him all my worries and all my fears, and he says, well, God never hated you. He's like, God doesn't hate people. God is love. Here go all my subs. He's like, God is literally love. That's all God is. God isn't hate, God isn't war, and God isn't, smiting people. He's like, God is love. That hate and smite and stuff, that was, that's made up by the church. Oh, I'm so gonna lose all my subs. He's like, God has always loved you. God loves you whether you're gay or straight or nothing at all. God loves good people. God loves bad people. And we're not saying good, bad, gay, straight, by the way. I mean, like, God loves people that live peacefully, and God still loves criminals and all this other stuff that we should learn in church. And he says, God never stopped loving you. And why do you think he's been trying to get your attention? He goes, Dad. As he calls God, he goes, he's been trying to get your attention for years. And at first he knocks really gently. Maybe sends you a letter or a happy day or something. And he tries, and he's really, really patient. And you're not paying attention, so he has to up the ante. And so all this stuff over the last couple years have gone wrong with this house. And it was like, God is trying to get your attention. Because I said today, I'm like, whoever this is, you have my attention. What do you want? And I went around, guys, and I checked the rest of the windows, and the rest of the windows seemed fine, so maybe it's just a gasket in this window, or maybe I do need the roof repaired. But Jesus is very tell it like it is. He's like, look, even if you lost this house tomorrow, even if it fell over, and this is not the Loki version, so it has a happier ending. I'm outside the house when it falls over. He goes, God will provide for you. That might not be the answer you want, but God will provide for you. I'm like, okay, breathe. And we went through this thing. He's like, God's not asking you to give up Loki or Odin. Loki, Odin, and Thor are actually the ones that drug me to the wolf cross. The wolf cross looks like a Thor's pendant, and I actually have one hanging up in one of the homes. It looks like a Thor's pendant, and the only thing they could think of is it was a prototype of, it was a Thor's pendant, so they were still loyal to Thor, and it had the wolf on it, so like, I guess for Odin. But it was kind of cross-shaped too, so as they were working with all these gods, they put them all in one symbol. They were like, that's good, that looks great. We really don't know what it's there for, but that is the best thing they can get. And I looked up Jesus and wolves, like, over the last week or so, that I haven't been telling you guys. And I'm finding wolves everywhere. Wolves are like falling out of the sky. And I'm like, oh my god, the wolves. There's crosses with wolves, and there's a wolf with a cross, and I have this beautiful wolf cross print. We got so much Christian wolf stuff that we don't know what place to put it. And I'm finally at the age where I can detach the God from the religion, and that's super important. Loving a god does not mean you buy into the whole religion, because I like this It's a Miracle stuff. I do not like the Pure Flick stuff that comes on. Not that I think it's bad that they made a film about Jesus coming back. Shut up, Loki. Loki's like, it'd be a lot more fun if I came back. But their concept of sin. and their concept of you bad, bad, bad. I don't think any god looks at us and goes, you're bad, bad, bad. We know if we do right and wrong, it's right to help people. It's generally wrong to harm people. We all have that concept. And we all have a concept of sometimes we get stuck. And I was like, just, it's gonna help me. And I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed because it's a Lokean channel, and Loki's like, we have been grabbing you by the arms and showing you these wolf crosses and showing you all this stuff about, like, early, Norsemen and how they were Christian and they were pagan at the same time, and nobody was going to tell a Viking or anyone else that they couldn't do that. He's like, it doesn't matter. Just talk to him. Now, I don't know if I have too many things where God seems very different from Odin, who seems very different from Loki, who definitely seems different from Ganesh or Dionysus or anyone else, but sometimes they kind of all seem like they blend together, like they're all coming in at once or something. That was comforting. No, that didn't mean that, like, God sent down angels with hammers and saws and they're currently working on the roof. That didn't happen, but it was like, you're still loved. Pagans are still loved by God. It's just, again, I wouldn't go for the Christian explanation because they're going to say, well, we're God's favorite. That's like Lokeans like to say, we're Loki's favorite. Do you know what being Loki's favorite is like? It's like being Lasantha's favorite. There's a story of this guy that he served her for many years very faithfully, served her very faithfully, and she would help him, but there was this guy that started to talk to her, and on the very hour and the very day he started talking to her, a beautiful peacock feather landed on this guy's front porch, and that's like one of her signs. And it can also be from an archangel too, so confusion time, but it was definitely her answering. And this guy was just so crestfallen because he'd served her faithfully for years, but the gods are like that. Loki's already told me very gleefully and rubbed his hands together and goes, I've saved people that don't even belong to me. We really don't care, and they only say belong because they know it makes us feel better. Lokeans aren't Loki's elect. He's just as likely to go help this random person that would hate his guts because it would secretly delight Loki to help that person. Same with Thor, same with Odin, same with their god, which is supposed to be everyone's god and love all mankind. I've never met a god that was like, I just love you, my people, and I hate the rest. They can go suck on a rock. I haven't met that god, and I'm lucky I haven't. The problem is religions arose. Usually most people only listen through fear. So they say, well, if you don't do the X, Y, and Z, God will abandon you, or Odin will abandon you, or Loki will abandon you, or they will show up. Everybody that works with Odin knows the horror stories of the insert spear here sign. And the horror stories of what Odin has done to his people and what Loki has done to his people. And that's just it. They're horror stories. Bad things happen in our lives. I never asked for my parents to both get terminal cancer. In a perfect world, they would both be healthy and be alive, and we wouldn't have this discussion because I probably wouldn't have this channel, but here we are. And, I never asked to have financial problems either. I'm just not one of those people that, I go up and I buy a lottery ticket and I win. I have a very addictive personality. I know I do, so I have a thing worked out with God. I'm like, if I am meant to win the lottery that day, Lord, you have to let me know. You have to let me go play because you know my problems with addiction. I will go and I will play and I will play and I will play and I will burn for all my money. So, I don't know what's going to happen in my life. I don't know if a miracle is going to happen. It's just going to be that window needs fixed. But that doesn't change the financial situation. But it was one of those things that, well, I have the chance. I might as well pass stuff on because I'm like, there's no sense waiting until, like, say, 10 years from now when I'm living on the streets or whatever, or sooner than that. It's like, you might as well pass stuff on while you can, and while I at least have an audience. I'm like, well, God was knocking. Then he was pounding. Then he was throwing himself against the door because he was going to get in. And he will get in any way he wants. And if wolves work, or this works, or that works, or cuddly animal miracles work, that's what we'll use. Now, this doesn't mean I'm going to start attending church, because it was amazing. I looked up and this pagan had written like exactly what I felt. She said she's attended church and it feels hollow and sad. But, for her, she believes in God. She just believes it's all the same God, more power to her. But it doesn't mean whether you see them all as one God or you see them as distinct gods, that these gods love these people and these gods hate these people. That's not how they work. We really should throw all of our religious texts in a pile and burn them. Maybe save a couple of select stories that show that the gods are love and kindness and show how to overcome trials and tribulations. But other than that, it's like, no, I don't like any religion that's like, well, God's going to make you suffer, God's going to force you to do this. But this was definitely felt like God wasn't punishing me, but God needed my attention. And every time God showed up during tribulation, I was like, get out of here. Go. I don't love you. You don't love me. Go away. And he's like, but I love you. I'm pure love. Why can't you accept that I'm pure love? Some people can't. I had called the Christian friend. She was just like, about my problems. The other friend had a lot more to say. Catholics are better. But, that is what it is. So I just figured I would share that with you guys because it felt very important. It felt like I was getting a push to share it. So this may become the channel where you hear about Jesus or God or the saints or anything else. Because when I was meditating yesterday, I was getting this contact with God. I know what the hell this sounds like. I'm not a saint. But it was just God feels like this unconditional, vast, eternal love, this vast, eternal being. Jesus feels very different. Jesus feels very earthy, like he was a human male when he did all this cool stuff. Not that he's not part of the divine, but you know what I mean. It's a mess. And he said, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. He's okay if my theology is really shaky. And Odin feels distinctly different, and Loki feels distinctly different. But the point was that it didn't feel like this God hated me or that he was judging me for being gay or for being pagan or for being in all these troubles. He's like, I'm trying to get your attention. How much more do I have to do? And I had went to Loki before you say, oh God, here she goes. She's gone become a Christian. I went to Loki and I went to Odin and I'm like, they're like, this isn't us. This is not me. Loki's like, if I wanted your attention, I would have got it and claimed it and told you a lesson. He says, this isn't me doing this and this isn't Odin doing this. So I know where some of this stuff is coming from. And even if, like, God doesn't set it up, I don't believe God sends disasters to people. Even if God doesn't set it up, he will take advantage of it. So will Loki, so will any divinity. But I just thought that was super important to share with you. So weird thing is, I saved all my crosses. Even when I became pagan, I just couldn't bear to get rid of my crosses. I got rid of all the Bibles in the house because I do think that that's just mega depressing. And so I don't have a single Bible in the house, but I do have some crosses left. I have some Virgin Mary stuff, and I have that Sparkle Jesus that we've seen in the Buddy Christ, which he finds amusing, thankfully. But this doesn't mean I run out and get like 20 Bibles or I run out and get 20 statues of Jesus. Catholics like to do it because it's a hobby, but it doesn't buy God's love. You can't buy God's love with 40 statues of Jesus or anything like that. I heard back here finally. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because for my whole life I felt terrible and I felt depressed. And Loki and Odin would say, why aren't you connecting with us? And I said, because God doesn't love me. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, the whole time growing up in the church, at the time, the Catholic Church, because I knew I was gay. I just didn't know the word for it, didn't know what kind of flavor of gay I was. And I knew I was a witch. I knew from very, very young that I was called to be a witch, to do magic in a positive sense, to be a healer. It doesn't mean I'm Christo Wicca or something, but it wouldn't matter if I was. But I'm like, okay, our gods work in strange and wondrous ways, because what I'm getting is that they don't have any contest at all, and whoever works with you or wants to work with you, that's what they're happy to do. For some people, they'll only work with pagan gods. For other people, they'll work with God and plus. For me, I just work with anyone at this point that's willing to talk me through things. And it was definitely God's trying to get your attention. So I don't know where that's going to lead. It could be just be God wanted your attention, but it could also be God wants you to know you're loved. You were never hated. You are never judged. There's no hellfire waiting for you. And I think that that's one of the things. That's one of the problems with religion. Usually there's this big scary concept of if you don't do what the gods want, they will punish you. And I got the revelation, take it for what it is. I don't claim to be a saint or a mystic or anything. That that doesn't exist. It's just you have to choose to basically try to be a good person, try to work with the gods, and know that you're loved with the gods. And I didn't have to run around doing all this crazy manifestation. I could just have faith that things are going to turn out okay, whether it's coming from Loki or Odin or God or Buddha or Hare Krishna. It really doesn't matter. It's going to be okay. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.